If I can have your attention here in the media center and up in the press box, we will now begin tonight's post-race media availability in the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series, the Bass Pro Shops NRA Night Race. And we're joined by tonight's runner-up, Erik Jones, driver of the number 77 5-hour Energy Extra Strength Toyota for Furniture Row Racing. Erik, man, it looked like you were on the threshold of getting your first win tonight, and you drove the wheels off of that car. What was it like up there having the win that close?
Well, it's it's fun to have a night where you've got a really fast race car and you're up front leading laps, and it's also a burden at the same time because you're letting all those guys be behind you and get better and better and improve on their cars to gain up on you. You know, it's hard to get your car better when you're out front. You don't really know what you need. So we had gotten a little bit snug on the last run, and unfortunately didn't have another stop to work on it. So I think that's kind of what put us behind the 8 ball at the end of the day, but strong run nonetheless.
Okay, we'll open up the floor for questions. We'll start with Jenna and work our way around.
Jennifer, AP. Erik, considering how strong you were, I mean, does this suck, not winning? And at what point did you know that it was over? Yeah,
I mean, you don't want to sound like you're whining or being a sore loser by, saying it sucks to run second. But, I mean, it's a bummer. It hurts. You want to win every race you're in, and this was the first shot that I really had to come really close to it in the Cup Series. And Bristol's a really good racetrack for myself, and thought we had a shot at it all night, led a ton of laps. So it hurts. I mean, when you're that close and feel like you have that good of a car, it's just it's Kyle Busch. He won all 3 races here this weekend. So I feel like I'm close to him here, just trying to find that last little bit.
Kelly.
Kelly Crandall, Racer.com. 2 things, Erik. Disappointment aside of coming up 1 spot short, does a night like tonight, this performance, leading as many laps as you did, winning the pole, battling with Kyle, all that, does any of that give you confidence? Does anything for your confidence going forward?
Yeah, I mean, I was talking to Chris on the way in here, and you know how it goes. You got to lose one to win one, right? And we lost one tonight. I mean, we did. We led the most laps and didn't win the race. So we lost this one, and hopefully that gives myself a lesson and everybody a lesson of, what it really takes to win these races. And obviously they're not easy to win, especially this Bristol race. 500 laps is pretty tough. This is probably the one of the most wore out I've been after the race, all year long. So it's just unfortunate. You try hard and you work hard all weekend and feel like you really had a good race car. And just when it comes down to it, you don't have quite enough. You don't have a chance to make it that much better. So that part hurts, but I definitely feel like it's boosted my own confidence as well as the team's confidence. I think the team's really pumped up. We had great pit stops tonight. I don't think we ever lost a spot. That's a huge day for us. And there were a lot of positives we can take out of tonight, but the only negative is we just ran second.
And you ran the top some, but you seemed really committed to the bottom. Was that by design? Were you committed to that, or was it more of what the car was able to do?
It was just where our car was best. I went up the top a few times in the middle of the race and just couldn't really find a lot of speed up there. And obviously we had a lot of speed on the bottom. Felt like nobody could really run with us on the bottom. So when it moved up to the top, I was a little worried knowing that we were tight on the bottom as it was. But we found good speed. We eventually burned the top end enough and got it high enough to where I felt like we had decent speed. And it just seemed like Kyle and I were trading lap times. He'd catch a little traffic. We'd run him down. I'd catch some traffic, lose him a little bit. And every time I got close to him, I'd just get my tires too hot. I just had to run it way too hard to make any lap time. So I was just right on the edge of it the whole time, which is not what you're looking for when in a great race car.
Go next to Kenny, then to Mike, and then to Daniel.
Kenny Bruce with NASCAR.com. Erik, your crew chief, Chris, he mentioned that this was one of the races that you guys kind of had circled, that it was one you thought you could win that would get you guys into the playoffs. Did you feel a lot of, I don't want to say pressure, but did you feel like this was one of the races that you guys had the best opportunity?
Yeah, for sure. This was one I had circled when we really all season, but especially when we got knocked out at New Hampshire with a flat tire. I was like, okay, we need to win. What's the tracks coming up that are our best shot? And Bristol was definitely, the one where I thought we were going to have the best shot to win. I felt like we had a really strong car in the spring and felt like I could improve myself and improve what we had in the race car compared to what we had there. And we did that. We qualified on the pole and, led a ton of laps. We just, just didn't quite keep up with it. So, yeah, this was our best shot to win. Did I feel any pressure? No. I was just Actually, I felt just really calm this week. I really had a sense that we were going to run really well. I had a really good feeling about it. I feel really confident every time I come to Bristol, and kind of felt like we were going to be running up front, but just didn't have enough.
And you mentioned lap traffic. Obviously, everybody had to deal with it out there, but how difficult was it to maneuver around some of those cars?
It was difficult at times. I mean, especially in that 100-lap run we had, we caught some traffic that was. You're catching faster cars. Yeah, thanks. But when you catch those faster cars, it's just tough to pass them. I mean, they're not slow. I mean, you're passing cars in the top 15, so you get up there and it's just tough to maneuver around them.
We're now joined by our fourth-place finisher tonight, Matt Kenseth, driver of the number 20 DeWalt FlexVolt Toyota for Joe Gibbs Racing. Matt, difficult race out there, but you had a fast Camry. Just talk about the rigors of running this race this evening.
The rigors of running the race. Sounded very dramatic. I like that. We were just we didn't start race very good. They made good adjustments, had really awesome pit stops. Got behind when we sped on pit road. We had a great 40-lap car, really, really fast, and then it would just get tight, and I just really couldn't do anything about it. So that run was just too long. I felt like if we wouldn't have got the caution and cycled the tires, I felt like I was making maybe a little ground on Erik, not a ton, but a little bit. But then after that cycle and we had that long run, we just really got tight, and I couldn't really do much with it.
Okay, we'll continue on here. We'll go with Mike, then to Daniel, and then we'll go upstairs to the press box.
Mike Hembry, USA Today. Erik, Kyle's proven his abilities over and over again, but does it say something extra about him, what he did here this week, 3 in a row?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great feat. I mean, obviously he puts himself in the situation to win a lot of those races, and he still goes out and executes. I mean, it's not easy to do. I run my fair share of Xfinity races during the year, and he's winning 5, 6, 7, 8 a year, and we're not winning quite that many. So obviously he's doing a great job at that level as well. But it's every week. It's not people rag on him for the truck and the Xfinity stuff, but he does a great job on the Cup side too. Obviously he's had a ton of speed all year long. He probably should have had way more than 2 wins this year, but he's really on it. He's got it going on. He's got it figured out, and it's hard to keep up with him at times.
Daniel?
Daniel McFadden with NBC Sports. Erik, through 28 Cup starts and a half start here for Danny a few years ago, is this the most fun you've had in a Cup race so far?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, it's just the most these cars are so hard to drive on 1.5 and 2 mile tracks that it's hard to race. It's hard to race side by side. It's hard to race front to back. It's hard to really run side by side, and you don't really see the action like you see here with people, right nose to tail and throwing slide jobs and everything like that. So, yeah, I mean, it takes you back to, late model racing, really. I mean, more than anything, you're just on the gas, and you're not saving tires. You just hammer down and getting everything you can, which is a lot of fun. It's hard on you as a driver. I mean, it wears you out, but you definitely have a lot of fun. I mean, it's, if I had to rank it, this is probably the most fun I've had in a Cup race, yeah, for sure.
And Matt, when you got up there and were fighting with him and Kyle, what were you seeing out of what Erik was doing that impressed you, how he handled those last few laps?
Well, I didn't see him the last few laps. I think they were about a half lap ahead. But before I got tight, yeah, it was just it was a good race. It's kind of tough being the leader at times here. Not that I have been the last couple of races, but with that bottom like that, you're never sure when to get off the bottom, and when you're the first one up there, and they go rolling by you on the bottom, then you're like, man, I shouldn't have moved up so quick. But Kyle we both got a pretty good run up on the top, and it got mixed up and got in front of him, and then it just wore me down and passed me back, and then I didn't see him very long. Just got a lot smaller.
Let's head upstairs to the press box.
Lee Spencer, Motorsport.com. Erik, you had led 51 laps up until this point. You led 260 race high tonight. You weren't afraid to use the bumper. I mean, you did it respectfully. Is this going to be a big morale booster for the team going forward?
Sorry, what was the last part of that question?
Is this going to be a morale
I was
boost
asking
for the
Erik how
team
you run
going
into somebody
forward?
respectfully.
Well, I thought he did it pretty well with you, Matt.
I didn't mean to hit Matt.
Did you hit me?
Just
I
barely.
said it was respectfully.
Anyways,
I didn't remember. You shouldn't have brought it up. Now I'm mad. You
Morale
guys
boost
laugh.
for
Wait
you,
till we
Erik.
leave here.
I think he can take you.
Takes
Morale
my ride
boost,
and he
Erik.
runs into me. All right, Lee, finish your question. Sorry.
You can finish your question now.
Was that a morale boost for you, that run, Erik?
Yeah. I mean, we had a good run at Michigan last week, and I felt like we had a shot to win. But tonight was really the closest we've come, all year. I mean, obviously we led a ton of laps and ran up front, and we didn't run out of the top 3 really all night. So when you have a car that fast and have a night that consistent and that good, it pumps everybody up. It pumps me up, pumps the team up. It's good for everybody. We just really did a good job as a team. We executed the best we could. We had great pit stops. I don't think we ever lost a spot, which is a huge day for us on pit road. So big step up in that department, and just a good day overall for the team.
We're going to next go to Nate and then to Christian.
Nate Ryan, NBC Sports. I'm on your left, Erik. All kidding aside, the guy beside you does have some extra motivation, I think, to try to beat you. Was that on your mind at all when he was chasing you there with the laps winding down?
No, not really. I mean, I think when you're out there, you just see it's just another car to pass. At least I'd assume that's how most people look at it. That's how I look at it. Yeah, sure. I mean, you get to some guy and you're like, that guy wrecked me last week or something like that. But for the most part, as long as you don't have a grudge with the guy, it's just another competitor. So you race everybody as a team. Your teammates, and you race them like teammates for the first 300-400 laps. But when it comes down to the last 100, 150, I mean, it's time to go, and you're just racing everybody for the next spot. Yeah, I mean, I get. I don't really think about it.
Christian?
Christian Coley on pitroad.com. Eric Jones, this is a question for you. So we're entering 2 of the tracks that Furniture Road did very well last year. Do you feel like this momentum from these last 2 races can really carry into the next 2 and maybe land you a spot in the playoffs?
Well, Darlington's going to be tough for us. I mean, Darlington is tough for anybody. I've only been there once, and it doesn't really fit how I drive. It doesn't fit my style of racing. It's something I've been learning. These, the low grip tracks, wear out your tires really bad. I haven't figured out 100% in these race cars what you need. So I do think we'll be, I think we'll run well. I just think it's going to be a little bit more of a challenge than, say, when we come to Bristol, where, I feel really comfortable and confident in what I need in the race car and feel like I can tell Chris exactly where I need the car to go. So Darlington will be a challenge, but Richmond will be good. I think we had a fast car there in the spring. We just got cut tire there on lap 5 or something. So we just need to, have a good race at Richmond. I feel like I've learned a lot there the last few times I've been there and ran a lot better.
Any additional questions? Jenna?
Jenna Fryer, Associated Press. Matt, your mood is so good, and some people might have needed that win, might not have a job for next year, might be in a bad mood. What's keeping you so happy?
I mean, I don't really have anything to be unhappy about. I mean, I shouldn't say it. Knock on wood, because things can turn on a dime. But my life couldn't be much better. I've never really been in a better place. I don't think I've ever been happier. There's more to life than racing. I mean, yeah, I wish it kind of maybe would have went down a different way, or I had another year or 2 there. But it's just not the way it worked out. So, I think everything happens or doesn't happen for a reason, and it'll all become clear. And I'm pretty happy. I'm not really worried about it. I certainly wanted to win tonight, though. I'd be happier if I would have won. But yeah, I'm pretty happy. Thanks for noticing.
It's all that bike riding.
Yeah.
We'll go to Kelly, and then we'll finish with Daniel.
Matt, the good news is the guy next to you didn't win, so that didn't bump you out of the playoffs with 2 races to go. But going forward, how do you look at Darlington and Richmond? Do you still feel pretty good about either pointing your way in or maybe getting that win?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I would have liked to see Erik get the win. It would have been fine with me. I wasn't really thinking about the playoffs. That would have been another one of our cars, with a win, and put another, basically JJR Furniture Road Toyota, in the playoff grid. So, I don't know. I guess there's only 2 races left, so somebody's going to make it by points. I don't even know where we are. I don't even look at it, to be honest with you. But if we don't get a win the next 2 weeks, hopefully we get in. Obviously, we'll be really far behind if we do get in. But we are running a lot better as of late. We've had some solid finishes. Last week wasn't, but we've definitely been closer to being in contention for wins. So I do feel like if we get in, that everybody on the team's doing. They're performing really well right now. We had great pit stops, and Jason made some good adjustments tonight and kept us toward the front. So I do feel like we have a little bit of momentum at the right time. We need more, but I feel like we have some at the right time if we can get in.
Erik, you talked about how it felt like your old modified days out there tonight. Given that, what are some of the most important lessons you've learned in your starts here over the last few years that helped prepare you for the situations you were in tonight? And last, what factored into your choice of music for the intros today?
I'll be honest with you on the music part. First off, I forgot to pick a song, so I don't even know who picked my song. I don't know. That's not really how it's supposed to work. But I don't know. I don't know who picked that. So I was a little surprised when I walked out. But on my short track days, I drive this track like I drive Winchester. I mean, that's it. Just ask the car to do the same things that I did at Winchester a few years ago. We were successful there, won a lot of races, and came here and thought, well, this place looks a lot like Winchester, so drive it like Winchester, and that was about it.
Kenny?
Kenny Bruce, NASCAR.com. For both you guys, you've run in the other series as well as Cup here now. How difficult is it to accomplish something like Kyle has done, win the truck race, win the Xfinity race, and win the Cup race in the same weekend?
Well, I'd say the most difficult part is the 3 different teams. It's 3 different crew chiefs, 3 different cars. I mean, they all drive different. I mean, it's just tough. I mean, it's 3 different racetracks, really. I mean, the way they move around and everything else. So keeping up with all that is challenging. I know running double duty isn't easy necessarily. I've ran triple duty a few times in my career, and it was something I honestly never want to do again. So I respect him for that. He's a hardcore racer. He really commits himself to that, and he does a really good job with it. He doesn't let it affect his Cup racing at all, and it's pretty impressive that he doesn't let it affect it.
Matt, your thoughts?
Me too. Well, I've never raced a truck. I haven't raced Xfinity in about 3 years, and I haven't won a Cup race in over a year. So for me, it'd be pretty hard to do any one of the 3, it feels like, right now.
How impressive is it?
Pretty impressive. You're welcome.
On a scale of 1 to 10.
Well, y'all put on an impressive show this evening, and we thank you for coming in. Good luck in Darlington in 2 weeks, and enjoy your week off.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Attention here in the media center and up in the press box. We will continue on with our post-race media availability for the 57th annual Bass Pro Shops NRA night race here at Bristol Motor Speedway. We're joined by our winning crew chief, Adam Stevens, of the number 18 M&M's Caramel Toyota. Adam, your Camry led 156 laps tonight with a dominant driver behind the wheel. How refreshing is it to see this 18 team really hitting its stride right now?
Yeah, it's good in a couple ways. Traditionally, as a team, I feel like we come out of the box strong each year and able to chip away a couple wins early, and we had the speed to do it early this year, but daggone it, we just couldn't capitalize, and still showed the speed here through the summer stretch, but we're starting to be able to put some races together, and it feels really good. Okay, we'll open the floor for questions. If you have a question for Adam, we'll get a wireless microphone to you. We'll start with Kelly.
Kelly Crandall, Racer.com. Adam, did Kyle seem different tonight, attitude-wise? He seemed really calm, really focused on the radio. I think at one point he said, "Whatever you want to do, he'll try." Was that any different for him? Maybe coming in, knowing what was on the line, he just seemed a little bit more focused and calm about the night.
I could see why you would say that, but he. As the races go on and we get closer and closer to the chase, he seems to find another level of focus, and I think we saw a little bit of that tonight. This is a big deal to him. Winning a race is a big deal, but he was definitely focused and had his eyes on the prize.
go next to Nate and then to Bob.
Nate Ryan, NBC Sports. Adam, on your left. Were pit stops a beat off tonight? Was that the crew? Was it something with the car, or was there just something going on there?
No, the car pit fine. Pitability-wise, we keep up with that and check it at the shop and check it again at the track, and everybody was happy with how everything drooped out and how the tires came out. We just missed a little something on pit road. One time we had an issue on the front, one time we had an issue on the back, and I feel like we're about half a step off there, and we're going to have to clean that up heading into the chase for sure.
We're now joined by our race-winning owner, Joe Gibbs, of the number 18 M&M's Caramel Toyota. Coach, wow, what a race tonight, and a fantastic accomplishment by Kyle, pulling off the weekend sweep. Please walk through what that means from your perspective.
Well, I just think it says a lot about Kyle, and I always reflect back to everybody back home that works on the cars. We got a whole group there that everybody touches the cars, front office, and everybody working together. I know Adam really appreciates their effort and dedication. But Kyle, obviously, that's his truck and did a fantastic job with that. And then come back at Xfinity and do what he did there. And then tonight was just it was spectacular. It was great, and really appreciate the talent he has, and it's fun kind of being a part of all this. I'm thrilled. Like I said, I just appreciate JD and everybody back home. I talked to all those guys. I talked to all the Toyota guys, all the Mars guys, a lot of phone calls, and everybody's happy.
Outstanding. We'll continue on with questions down here. We'll go with Bob, then to Jerry, then to Kenny.
Bob Parker, ESPN. Adam, do you feel Kyle's, the way he races when he's going for a sweep like this, changes at all? And would it be changed for the good or for the bad?
That's something you worry about when you have an extra layer on top of a normal race. As a crew chief, you need to keep him focused and make sure that he's not elevating his risk level too much, and making mistakes. And I think he did a really good job of being aggressive, but really mitigating the risk. There was times that he could have pushed, and he may have given somebody an inch. So he really did a great job of keeping the big picture in mind. That's an odd question, but no, I'm always rooting for him. But it is an extra level of stress, though, in my seat, because it is such a big deal in the sport and such a big deal to him. But there's really only so much you can do. It's not like I'm going to pull something out of my hat, But it was pretty cool to see him accomplish that, and it was cool for the other teams and the other crew chiefs to be a part of that as well. I've been in the midst of that, trying to get a sweep, and felt that pressure as well. So kudos to those guys.
Jerry, then to Kenny.
Jerry Jordan, KickingTheTires.net, PRN. Adam, before the race, I showed you the odds. I guess this means don't bet against Kyle Busch, but, at least not here at Bristol. How do you take this this momentum going forward into the playoffs and trying to secure him another championship?
Well, I think it's just kind of shows what the team's capable of. We've had good speed and prepared good cars. Like Coach says, everybody back at the shop doing all the right things. And we're just starting to put the whole races together. Kyle's doing a great job behind the wheel and really focusing on the finish of the race and making sure we have what we need with our adjustments and, all the fenders on the car and all the brakes on the car that we can go out there and run hard at the end. And the pit crew didn't start off that great, but they shook it off and were able to rebound from that. So I think that bodes well for us heading into the chase.
Kenny Bruce with NASCAR.com. Adam, what are the benefits for you guys when Kyle runs in companion events, and are there any negatives as far as his time? He has so little time to devote to each one of them that maybe there are things that you guys don't get a chance to go over if you're having issues or something.
Right. Well, the benefits are week to week. This week there was a big benefit because we were on the same tires, and there was a track surface treatment. We don't see that a lot, so. That stuff that they put down changes the racetrack, and how it changes through the race is something that he was able to learn 2 more occasions than a lot of guys we raced against. So, the grip level changes, the preferred groove changes. So I think it was an advantage this week, and I think it showed with how the line moved around and how we adjusted on our car. But second part of your question, you just have to communicate. We have a lot of FaceTime in the coach lot after practice and after the races, and text each other back and forth and stay in communication with the other crew chiefs on his other teams. And it's just a little bit of extra effort, but it's what it takes.
Go to Daniel, then to Bob.
Daniel McFadden with NBC Sports. Coach, we get to see a pretty spirited battle between the present and future of the number 20 team tonight. What was going through your mind watching Erik Jones fight for his first win of his career and Matt Kenseth scratching and clawing to get the win that will get him into the playoffs?
I think it was a big deal for both guys. Last week, I know that it was a heartbreak for Matt last week. I reflect back to that because Erik last week had a heck of a race, and he was going for that thing at his home track, really, at Michigan, and had a great finish. And then Matt, it was a heartbreak. So it was great to see Matt bounce back this week. Matt, if you go back and check his history, he's really good here. And I thought he gave it everything he had. I think it was a spirited battle. I really think, all three of them were up there kind of going after it. And so I think it was big for both of them. And we're really proud of everybody there. Felt like Daniel, too, fighting through things. And appreciate Adam and his leadership on the 18 team. So I think for both of them, I think tonight was a big night for both of them. They fought extremely hard. It was a huge deal for Matt. I think he jumped up one spot in the playoff deal, and a big deal for us.
Bob Packers, ESPN. Adam, when Kyle talked to us last night, he said that he expected the tack to be changed a little bit to make sure they didn't speed on pit road in that section, but you ended up pitting in that section. Was that on purpose because he had sped at least in that section on Wednesday, and did you do any changes to the tack?
We did not do any changes to our settings. We kind of based that off the previous race, and we were confident in what we had, and there haven't been any changes to pit road that would necessitate a change there. But we do feel like that section reads a little bit quicker than the other sections, so that was a calculated move to take it out of play with the pit selection. Thankfully, we qualified so poorly, I was worried that we weren't going to have a gap back there to choose, but thankfully that worked out.
Any additional questions? Well, gentlemen, congratulations on the triumph, and good luck in 2 weeks in Darlington.
Thanks to Toyota, too. David's back there in the back, man. Thank you. Big night.
We are joined by the winner of the Bass Pro Shops NRA night race, and that's none other than Kyle Busch, driver of the number 18 M&M's Caramel Toyota Camry for Joe Gibbs Racing. Tonight was Kyle's 40th win in the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series, which ties him with NASCAR Hall of Famer Mark Martin. And it was also his 180th NASCAR National Series victory. And most importantly, he swept the weekend here at Bristol. What is the secret to your success here, good sir?
This ain't the place to talk about that. Certainly feels really good, though, to be able to come out here and had the opportunity by winning the truck race, had the opportunity still open by winning the Xfinity race. So coming in here tonight, we knew we had the pressure on, and it was kept on all day long. You know, those guys that were up there running in the front, like Larson and Kenseth and Erik Jones especially, they kept us honest and made sure that we had to go out there and get it done and achieve it. And I was driving for everything I had there the last 80, 60 laps, whatever it was, and giving it everything I had. So just great job by my team, everybody with Adam Stevens and the guys that work on the car, everybody at the shop making some really fast race cars for us, and TRD, all the guys with the motor shop. So this is fun. This is cool. It's neat to accomplish this once again, and it's crazy to do it at the same track over again for as many times as maybe as I had the opportunity to do a sweep all over again. But nonetheless, this is Bristol Sweep 2.0, and this time around Brexton's here, so that's pretty cool too.
Good deal. We'll open the floor for questions. We'll start with Jeff, and we'll work our way around.
Jeff Gluck from jeffgluck.com. I don't remember until this year seeing you embrace the heel roll this much. Like, you were so playing it up with the 3 to the crowd and like the cupping your ears and then sweeping on top of your car. Are you like getting more comfortable with that role? And like, I feel like you earlier in your career you sort of fought against it, and now you're just like, bring it on. Is that accurate at all?
It don't matter what I do or what I say or how much you try to change. It just you don't change perception. People have whatever perception it is on you, and it's to me. I don't know that it's necessarily whether or not you have the most fans or the most followers. To me, it's just about being able to go out there and put on a show for those that are buying tickets and being a part of it. So. I know Rowdy Nation's pretty strong, and whether or not they're the strongest allegiance, probably not. But fact of the matter is we've got a pretty good following going. So love my fans and everybody that's out there that's cheering for us to be successful, to go out there to win races, and guess what? They're the ones that are celebrating the hardest right now and tonight. So it's a lot of fun. You know what? There was this guy that was at one of my hospitality appearances today, and he was giving me the bird the whole time. And I was like, yeah, I know I'm number one. I've been number one the past 2 nights. So then he gave me 2. And I was like, well, you know what? All you're doing is solidifying that I already know. So it's pretty awesome to be able to go out there. And I'm sure they're still booing and whining and crying all the way home tonight. So, they're driving home mad. So people be careful. Well, it was a Toyota hospitality where it was out in the fan zone, and so there was fans on the outside of the gate. And what's funny is he wasn't even wearing any other driver's gear, so he's just is that a floater? Is that what they're called?
Let's go to Nate, and then to Bob, and then to Christian.
Just a hater. Nate Ryan, NBC Sports. 2 questions, Kyle. Real quick, the first one is, what did you tell Brexton to say in the driver intro song thing?
Truck, yeah.
Truck, yeah. Okay.
Truck, yeah.
There was some debate over that.
I told him to say truck, yeah. I thought he said truck, yeah. I don't know.
The second thing is, even though second win in 4 races for you, I know pit stops were a little bit of a problem a couple of times tonight. Do you feel like, hey, it's great that you guys are getting momentum? You got the stage win tonight. You get the 5 points for the overall win, but are there still some things you feel like you guys need to clean up heading into the playoffs, pit stop wise, and anything else?
Yeah, there's no question. Certainly sometimes you come down pit road and you have a really good stop and you maintain or even gain spots, and other times you come down pit road and they have an issue and we lose spots. But you expect to lose a spot or two, especially when you're having your rear guy do spring rubbers or something like that. But when it's just an air pressure adjustment stop or whatever it might be, and you lose spots on that because somebody stumbles, it's a little frustrating. But I have my mistakes all the time out on the racetrack as well too. And there was a couple times where I chattered the rear tires or got loose or whatever it might have been and lost a spot here or there. But we all have those mistakes. Adam didn't make the best of adjustments from practice last night into the race today. We definitely could have made some more than what we did, and that's just something we're going to work on in order to perfect ourselves for when we come back here next time. And we got to be a little more mindful of some of that stuff in our past notes and rely on those in order to be better with these final 13 races all the way to Homestead, or however many it is. I don't even know how to count. There's 12 left? Okay, 12. Thanks, Nate.
We'll go Bob, Christian, then Mike.
Bob Hockers, ESPN. I have 2. The first is Adam said that his main worry was that you might take too many risks trying to get the sweep, that you might elevate your risk level. Did you have to hold yourself back at all at any time tonight?
Yeah, there was a few times in the night where the tires weren't really feeling great, and they just felt like they had a lot of air pressure build up. It was one of the longest runs that we had, and so I commented to Adam that the car's really chattering, really vibrating right now, and he was like, I've heard those comments before, and not many laps later we blown out a tire. So fortunately somebody else did before us, which gave us the caution that we needed. But it's just air pressure builds here, man, and once you get the tire thickness continues to wear and it gets thinner, that air pressure gets closer and closer to outside air, and it's going to become a problem. So unfortunately for whoever it was that gave us that caution, it was fortunate for us. So just had to back it down, had to bide my time. A couple times coming off a pit road, I was inside the 24 and the 20. Sandwiched me and squashed me there, so I had to just back out of that situation, and then I lost another spot to the 11 while rolling pit road on that same time. So just stuff like that. You just kind of got to pick and choose your battles.
And did you know when you won that when you got booed that you were going to put your fingers up by your ears, or were you going to? Sometimes you do the little crying type thing. Was that planned, or was that spur of the moment?
No, I knew there was going to be the heckles for sure. My fans are great and amazing, but there's no way all of my fans are going to be able to fill up Bristol Motor Speedway. Okay, so the best of the best that have won here have been booed and have been whatevered for a long, long time. So I'm fine with that. But my people get to go home safe and secure and slow and steady and patient because they get to celebrate. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what I'm going to tell you here in about 5 seconds. So I'm going to shut my mouth.
We'll go to Christian, then the mic, and we're going to head to the press box.
Christian Coley on pit road. Kyle, I was wondering, the last 2 nights you've had late race restarts. Well, tonight you didn't have that late race restart. Was there ever a point at the end of the race where you were kind of worried the caution would come out? And were you prepared like you were the past 2 nights to use that restart to your advantage?
Dude, that's a good point. If the caution ever came out, man, that was not going to be pretty. And I say that because the tires were just so wore out. The tires were just killed. I mean, if the caution would have come out in the last 10 laps, you were going to have to stay out. Like, I don't know that you would have came in and pitted. You would have just taken the chance that you could just burst off on the restart, get enough clean air, get enough space that those with fresh tires couldn't catch you. So I'm fortunate and thankful that there wasn't a late race caution that I had to deal with, and because yesterday's was the car was really evil for the last 10 laps that we had to run it there. So that was fortunate, and I was kind of worried more so that Erik was going to be able to run us back down and get back to us because he was just really, really good and really, really fast around the bottom and looked a lot like myself here years ago when I was really good and patient with the bottom and being able to work down there all day long and be able to pick off cars. And when anybody'd go to the top, I'd just be like, thank you, see you later. That's kind of what Erik looked like tonight. So he was really impressive to me. I wish I had more of that for the bottom, but we just didn't. Our car was better up top.
Mike Hember, USA Today. 2 things. After the race, Larson tweeted, "Love him or hate him, I feel he is the most talented driver I will ever witness in my lifetime." What?
With a goat? There's goat emojis?
Right. How does it make you feel to hear that from another successful driver?
It's awesome. I appreciate that. It's definitely, an honor, a humbling statement. Larson is obviously arguably one of the most talented guys as well, too, to hit our sport in a long, long time, and people will continue to say that about him as well. So it was fun racing with him earlier in the race. There were times where we were racing real hard side by side, and I was bottom and he was top, I was top, he was bottom, wherever. We were all over the place, right? And we're coming down, I got a run through 1 and 2 on him, and we're coming down the backstretch, and I got a nose ahead of him, and I'm like, I'm going to slide him in turn 3 here. And then I was like, you cannot slide a slider. Like, there's no way. You cannot slide Kyle Larson. So I was just like, nope, never mind. Got to run the bottom. So, there's other guys that you can do that to, but Larson is not one of those guys. So he don't care, though. He'll throw it in on you, and sometimes one of these days it'll bite him. But, you just know that he's giving it everything he's got, and that's just that. I think it's that sprint car mentality. You always think that guy that you're racing around sometimes is going to give it to you and is going to save your butt. But he'll find one of these days that don't always happen.
And what are you doing next week? Are you looking for 3 or 4 races to run somewhere
No, I ran out of my quota. My wife told me that I'm done, and the rest of the year it's just I got Xfinity race at Richmond, and the rest of the year it's just Cup stuff. So everybody will be thrilled. Yeah, we're going on vacation, so we're out.
We're going to go upstairs to the press box.
Chris Knight, catchfence.com. Mike Henry stole my question, but Kyle, I was just curious about the contact on pit road with Matt Kenseth. Were you worried that would affect the car in any way?
It wasn't too hard, so I wasn't too worried about it. But I just wanted Matt to know, like, hey man, I've been outside of you twice now, and both times you've just doored me and run me up outside the pit road lane. So. I didn't know if he didn't know that I was out there. I knew that he did once we touched, but I'm sure he was just watching his tack, not really worrying about his mirror, so his spotter should have called it. But no harm, no foul. We moved on, and that was that.
We'll come back downstairs here to Camden, and then we'll go to Jim, and then to Daniel.
All All right, Camden Lazenby for rubbingsracing.com. Kyle, you won every race here this weekend. You won every stage but the second stage here today. I don't know
Yeah,
if
we gave that one away.
Okay, so that's not something that weighs on you at all. I think that was I mean, you won the race. It was probably worth it, but would it meant anything to you to get every stage win this weekend?
I mean, it would have. We could have stayed out and led those 5 laps because we were the leader when we decided to pit and give away that stage. I definitely wanted to get that stage, but I knew what was more important, and that was getting the win. So we forfeited that stage, essentially, and we restarted, I don't even know, 7th, something like that, 9th maybe, and we might have finished 8th or something in that stage. I got boxed in by the 27 car and got stuck behind him for 3 or 4 laps and had a couple guys get by me. So, you know, that's not going to weigh on me too much here. I'm not going to worry about that. They're not going to put it on that big banner. Kyle Busch sweeps the weekend and all stages except one. So, I'm not worried about it.
Jim?
Jim Utter, motorsport.com. It doesn't seem it was that long ago you were in here talking about the last.
That was last night.
That's correct.
Yeah.
The last time that you gave one of these away in some fashion.
Mm-hmm.
Over the last 4 weeks, which includes 2 victories, do you believe that you guys have turned that corner and are more in position to capitalize on what you've had this season?
I mean, we've had really strong cars and had really good opportunities to win a lot of races this year, and we just haven't gotten it, you know, for whatever reason. And there's no store you go to buy luck, and I feel like luck's probably the biggest thing that we were just kind of missing out on. And it's just kind of starting to turn around a little bit. You know, things are going a little bit better in our direction. Some of those lucky breaks are kind of floating our way rather than somebody else's way, and that's just kind of the way it goes, you know. So take them when you can get them is kind of my mentality, and man, it is so frustrating, though, for this season to be as fast as we've been and as competitive as we've been, and the opportunities that were there for us to be able to score the victories and to not get those, that, man, it just makes you really literally want to pull all your hair out. And so, you know, being able to score the win just kind of relieves all that, like, okay, you know, I can still do this. I mean, people look at me probably like I'm crazy. I win a lot, but you know, it's so hard to win these cup races that when these ones slip away, it definitely makes you way, way angrier than the other ones.
Daniel?
Dale McFadden with NBC Sports. You know, there's been a lot of talk already about fans booing you and stuff. Do you remember the first time that ever happened to you in your racing career when you got that reaction out of fans? And also, you swapped the lead with Erik Jones 10 times tonight. Your history together is well documented. What was it like for you to be fighting like that with him for a win at this level for the first time like that?
Yeah, so as far as the booing thing goes, I definitely remember my first Xfinity Series start for sure. I just can't remember before that if I was, I mean, I'm sure there were boos, but, you know, literally when I was at my local short track, I won 10 out of 15 races in 1 year in my late model, and, you know, driver intros were not always very pretty. So, you know, the locals at my local short track didn't like me because I won too much. But I got on the Xfinity Series scene back in 2003, and for my first Xfinity Series start, I can remember it vividly. I qualified third in Joe Nemechek's car. It was the 87 Ditech car, and I went through driver intros, and I got booed. And I was just like, why? Wait, what? I haven't even been here yet. Like, give me a chance. But my brother ruined that for me. So I started out at a deficit already, and I've definitely gained positive, but there's definitely still going to be those that want to be loud. So I've always just kind of gone under the notion that they're just trying to say my last name and they can't finish it.
Kyle here in center, James Pike, race
What was the
station.
second one? Racing with Jones. Awesome. I mean, I love Erik Jones. You know, he's a phenomenal talent and a great race car driver, and we knew that a long time ago. And I don't know whether it's a good thing I found him or a bad thing I found him, because one of these days I'm going to lose to him and I'm not going to be thrilled, but I'm still going to congratulate him. So I thought today was actually going to be that day. But you know, he was awesome to race with. You know, for as fast as we were and for being up front, for as much as he wanted to win and I wanted to win, we gave each other room. We never touched each other. It was always smooth. It was clean. It was great. You know, so I really appreciated that from him, and he's gonna win a lot. And Truex said it last week. I think, you know, there's no team orders, and his time will come. And when it does, he's gonna go on a roll.
Kyle here in the center, James Pike, Race Chaser Online, and the Performance Motorsports Network. So you've gotten 2 of these weekend sweeps now. So I was wondering if you could kind of compare and contrast 2010 to this weekend and then put this in historical context, not only as being the first guy to complete the triple header, but to now do it twice at the same track. It's unprecedented in the history of the sport.
Yeah, I think, thank you. I think so too. I can't remember that far back, dude. I remember the truck race. I don't remember the truck race. I just remember what it is because I have the 3 cars in my showroom. Hey, Joe, I need this car, by the way. Okay, thanks. So somebody asked me, they're like, well, if you do the triple again, what are you going to do with the cars? And I'm like, oh, I'm getting them, that's for sure. And I guess the first triple is going to have to go up on the ceiling upside down and sit over the second one. So that's the plan. But anyway, see, I already got all this stuff figured out. The Xfinity race, I remember that was the battle with Brad. He was an idiot. And then the cup race was actually, I felt like, was one of the easiest cup races I had to win here. Crazy as that sounds, for as hard as these things are to win, but I just remember being like Erik Jones tonight, like just cruising around the bottom all night long, having a really fast race car, and just being able to do that, and everybody moved to the top and give me the bottom. I'd be like, thank you, bye-bye. And it was easy, you know. And tonight I kind of felt that way a little bit in the beginning part of the race when I was coming up through. And once I got to about 4th, I slowed down. You know, I wasn't able to pick off the top 4 as quick as I would have wanted to. And they were really good. They were really fast. So, you know, I just think that having a dominant truck this time around was pretty special. Having people say it was a dominant Xfinity car. It was fast. It just didn't feel great, but it was fast. So maybe everybody was just feeling pretty bad. And then tonight, I've never driven so hard in my life for the last 60 laps. I mean, literally, I got out of the car and felt like I didn't want to, you know. So it was really, really hard to maintain that pace up top and to feel everything that you're feeling and to trust yourself that I'm feeling the car loose, getting into the corner, sliding the rear tires, but I'm tight in the center, so I'm like, got to go up on the track bar, you know what I mean, and keep the thing free rolling and keep the momentum going. And that's hard to tell yourself to do, you know, because any little moment, any little slip, you can be right in the fence, especially running that high that fast. So, and knowing that Erik Jones was catching me, you know, so I had to make sure that I couldn't just sit there and pace myself. It was all she was worth.
Kelly?
KellyCrandallRacer.com. Kyle, has there ever been a moment in your career with some of the things you've done, whether it's the triple, coming back from an injury and going on the playoff run that you've done, or just all these wins across all 3 series? Has there ever been a moment where you've kind of had a moment where you're like, I can't believe I've done that, or I can't believe I accomplished that? Have you ever had that?
I'd say the 2015 Homestead was. You know, we were really good that weekend. We were really fast, and we knew Harvick was one of the most dominant cars that season, and we had to race him for the championship. And so we were in front of him. I think we were running 3rd. I think Brad was leading, Larson was 2nd, and I was 3rd. And you know, we were just kind of cruising home to finish the season to win the championship. We were going to finish 3rd. And we were actually gaining on the leaders, and we were pulling away from Kevin. And Adam was telling me, he's like, hey, man, slow down. Like, we don't have to catch those guys. We do not have to win this race. And then the caution came out, and then we all came to pit road and did the pit stops and stuff. And then all of a sudden it became, we have to win this race. And so to go out there for my team to bust off a really fast stop, we came off pit road 2nd. Brad chose the bottom, which was crazy. And I got the outside and just rolled the outside on him on the restart there, and then Kevin got the 2nd, and I just remember looking up like, got to win it, got to go, got to push, got to keep fighting, and we won that thing. And that was one of the moments where it was kind of like, man, I can't believe it. I can't believe we were in a win situation, had to win, and we were able to come out with a championship through it. So that was probably one of the bigger ones.
Jerry?
Tonight was number 2.
Jerry Jordan, Kicking the Tires.net and PRN. You mentioned the great ones getting booed, and then we talked about Kyle Larson's tweet. But have you really thought about where your place in the history of the sport will be when your career is over with? I mean, you're destined for the Hall of Fame, NASCAR. Have you thought about the ramifications of what your career will mean to future generations of NASCAR fans?
Yes and no. I mean, I've kind of thought about it, I guess, but I've pretty much come to the notion I'll never win a fan vote, and for media votes, sometimes I can go either way. It kind of depends. So, you know, depends on who I'm nice to or who I'm friends with. So, to me, I just let results and stats and stuff like that speak for themselves. And if you're going to be elected into a Hall of Fame based on what you've been able to accomplish, then I got that covered.
Well, Kyle, enjoy your week off. You certainly earned it, and we'll see you in 2 weeks in Darlington.
Thank you. Appreciate it. You had a lot of fun.